Today we're going to be making these cornhole boards. I've been threatening to do these all summer, and now that we're into September, I guess it's finally about time. It's fine for us here because we live in cottage country. The bugs are all out before now. Get a couple months to enjoy these, hopefully before it snows. I'm making these because I have a woodworking channel, but you could buy these, but these are much better quality and much cheaper. They're going to last a lot longer, and you just customize them the way that you want. So I just painted them. I probably should have used higher gloss paint, but this is what I had. And this is just a pattern that I created. So these are good one-side 1/2-inch pieces of plywood, 2 foot by 4 foot, which is standard. And I use 2x3s for the structure. All in all, if you buy the sheet of plywood and get it cut down the way that I did rather than buying the panels, it's going to work out to be about $25 a piece, depending on what your finishing is. So all you're going to need is, like I said, the 2 foot by 4 foot pieces of plywood and 2 2x3s and 4 bolts. And then you're going to have to pick up your bags separately. And you're going to see in this video, I did put one together with some kind of crooked wood that I had laying around. So you're going to see a bit of a struggle, and I'm going to show you how I kind of fought through it, and it came out pretty good in the end. It's still a little bit out, but it'll be fine. So having said that, let's get to it. All right, so the big part of the boards that we need are plywood pieces. So you can buy pre-made 2 foot by 4 foot plywood pieces, but pretty expensive compared to a sheet. So all I did was I went and got a full sheet of 4x8 at the Home Depot, and I just got them to rip it in half. I'm just gonna cut one of them in half and leave the other one intact for something else. It was only like $7 more for the full sheet than the half sheet, so it was more economical that way. Anyway, so I'm not going to overcomplicate this. I don't need to be particularly precise with this, so I'm just going to cut along this line halfway across that I drew. And I got it on my 2 benches here, so I shouldn't have to worry about it pinching. All right, there's our 2 pieces. And then these are 2x3s that I made out of 2x4s on the table saw, but you can buy 2x3s, and you can use 1x3s, 1x4s, it's whatever you want to use. This is just what I'm using. So I'm going to cut these down now. So our length is exactly 8 feet, so that's fine. And I'm just going to mark on 48 inches and put that line right in the center of the blade, so they're both exactly the same. Okay, now to get to our 2 feet, using 1.5-inch thick boards here, times 2 is 3 inches. So I need to cut at 21 inches. Now since I'm doing half a dozen of these, I could set up a stop block, but I'm not even going to worry about it because it's not a precision job here. Okay, so there are 6 pieces at 21 inches, 4 of them at 48, minus a hair because of the blade width. And there are 2 pieces of plywood, which if you don't want to do any cutting, you can walk out of the Home Depot with all of this already done for you from the store. It probably cost you a couple bucks, but if you won't have to cut anything, there you go. All right, so here's our very complicated layout. 2 end boards, middle board. Gonna measure out halfway, which is 24 inches. This does not need to be precise at all. We're just going to use the stud method and just center the board. I'm using 3-inch deck screws, 2.5 is probably fine. Okay, so when I'm doing the ends here, what I will typically do is I'm not pre-drilling, and so I'm going to come in kind of like this to keep me in from the end of the board to prevent it from splitting, or at least help prevent it. And not overdrive it. You can see I got a nice bow in this board. I did not use the best boards for doing this, but when I fasten it together, it'll pull it straight. I was trying to use up some of my older, not perfectly straight boards. Ay. All right, now I take the clamp off and no gap. Get a bit of a twist over there, so we'll see if we can get that out of there. See, as I squeeze the gap out of there, then it makes that side pop up. Beautiful. You can bend the screws a little bit, but what I'm going to do is, so I'm going to fasten the piece of plywood on, and then I'm going to clamp it down, and you got to remember, as the moisture goes into the boards and out of the boards, it's going to reform them a little bit. So we'll see how it turns out. So there's many ways you can fasten the tops on. You can put pocket holes from underneath. You can use brad nails, screws. I'm going to use PL Premium and 23 gauge headless pin nails. Okay, now we're going to use the fact that this is a nice square piece of plywood to square up the boards. I'm going to start in one corner here. Make sure this whole bottom or top, whichever it is. Okay, so put a little bit in here. Okay, now we're going to try to work out some of this crookedness here. So now I'm going to make sure this side is nice and straight. Make sure this is fairly straight. So the pin nails are only to hold it into place. They're working like clamps for the PL to dry. Just want to make sure that it's touching all the way around as much as can be. While the PL is drying, because this thing is so badly twisted. So this rolling cart is, it's not perfect, but it's pretty good. So we're going to use it as a, hopefully, board straightener. Okay, so yeah, we'll leave this for a few hours, come back and see just how well it comes out, and whether or not we scrap this one and film a different one, because I don't know. If you leave it here for a long enough time, a few days, then it probably would conform to the flatness, but we'll see. All right, so here we are the next day. I let the PL dry yesterday, took the clamps off of it, and then to try to get that twist out of the board, I clamped down that corner, and then I put all this weight on the other corner here overnight. And it managed to take out a bunch of it, so let me just show you here. This is one of the reasons why I did not PL the joints, because the screws will bend a little bit, so just keep fighting with it. It is getting better. It might take another day or two, but it's substantially better than it was, to the point where you can easily push it down. So it won't take long to get the rest of it out of there, but use straight boards, then you don't have to deal with this. I'll clamp it back down, ream down it, get it a little more flat, get the other one built, and then we'll go into putting legs and cutting the hole and finishing them. So the glue has dried, and I've got it clamped down, and now I'm going to cut the hole in it. So this is going to be a 6-inch hole. You can buy a hole saw that's 6 inches that's actually kind of designed for this. I can't justify buying one because I can't think of what else I'm going to use a 6-inch hole saw for. So I'm just going to cut it with a jigsaw. So you just measure down 9 from the top. And 12 from the side. And then I got my compass. Remember these thingies from school. So I'm going to have to set it at 3 inches, so that's half. So basically I'm just going to put it at 50 and put it at 53. Okay, good. 3 inches. I'm just going to drill, I don't know, 7/16 hole. Doesn't have to be that size, just what I'm going to use. Okay, now I know that I'm not going to have a problem, but just so you can see, I'm not going to be hitting my bench top with this. Good enough. Okay, so now we're going to cut the legs out of this piece of 2x3. So I'm just going to make a cut at 11.5, just at 90 degrees or 0 degrees, whatever you want to say. Do 2 of those. Okay, now I'm going to turn my saw to 10 degrees. Okay, so I'm just going to line my blade up with this edge here and just put a 10 degrees on there. Okay, then I'm going to go to 45 degrees. I'm just going to nick off the corners here. Doesn't have to be precise. I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. Okay, so we've just done that to kind of round them off without actually having to make a circle, so that when we have them installed, we can fold them down. Now what I'm going to do here, just very highly technical, is I'm going to put the level on the board here. Now I'm not trying to make this level, I'm just seeing where the bubble is, and the bubble is obviously a little bit on the side of that line. So I'm going to make it the same on the top, which that looks pretty good right out of the gate. And I'm going to squeeze in a mile because my other hand's tied up. Okay, so that's about right. That's not be perfect. Okay, so then I'm just going to use my brad point, which is a 5/16 bit because that's what the bolt is, and I'm just going to try to make it as straight as possible. Okay, I'm going to take the clamp off now because I'm well enough in there and I don't want to try to drill into the clamp. Didn't make it all the way through either. That's why it was so hard to drill, because I'm hitting a knot. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to do the same thing on this side. So I want the bubble to be in the position there with this part touching this board here and this part touching the bottom there. It does not have to be anywhere near this precise. I'm just making sure I'm not way out. With this one, I'm just going to hold it. Before I drill into my gut, I'm going to take it out because now I have it marked. Okay. Same thing, this is why we cut the angles on there so that they would pivot past there. I'm not going to bolt them in right now, I'm going to paint them first. And before I do that, I am going to, this is probably an important step if you do it this way. And then I'm going to, see how I just took it off here? So I come out like that, I'm going to flip it like that. And I'm going to put a number 1. And then I'm going to put the number 1 right there. And then I'm going to put a number 2 on the other side, because that way I won't be able to confuse them and cause myself a whole lot of problems down the road. Just don't paint over those numbers or you won't be able to see where they are. Because obviously both holes are not in the same spot, so this way you know exactly how to go back in. Okay, so now the really exciting step here is I am going to sand this all down with 120. Not going to spend a lot of time doing it, only going to spend a minute doing it. So it's already sanded. Just make sure there's no bad spots. And then I'll get it all taped up to paint it. So I'm going to start sanding now, and then when we come back, I'll have it all taped up. Okay, so we got it all sanded up, and I got the tape put on it, and some paper. This is the design that I kind of came up with. This is the white coat, and then that's to be black, and that's all going to be black. You can do whatever you want. This is just what I came up with, and I just painted underneath just to seal it. It doesn't matter what it looks like. I was going to do it all white, and then I realized I was not going to have enough white to finish, so I switched to black so that I would have enough white to do the top. So I'm going to paint the entire underneath black, just one coat, just to seal it up. And then this is how I've laid out the tape. I kind of wanted to make like an arrow. I have no idea why. I just feel like psychologically it'd make it easier to hit the hole. So these are just little spacers I put in here, the width of the tape. That way when I go to tape up for the black, it'll just cover up like that. Now when I was doing the first one, I laid it all out. And then in order to make it match on this one, I just measured down. And I came down to 10 3/4 inches to the top of that tape there. And then measured in 9 1/2, And so I just made sure it was relatively the same on both sides, and then I just used the tape as a measurement from there down. Doesn't matter. You can be off a little bit. Nobody's ever going to notice. It's just how I'm doing it. Okay, so I'm going to spray this. I'm doing the legs separately. I'm just going to put 2 light coats on. You get the idea. I'm not going to keep doing this because I'm going to do it outside, but you know how paint goes on. So I'm going to do that, let that dry like this one, and then I'm going to tape over, like I said, the white spots, and then I'm going to paint that black. You don't need to see that, so we'll come back when it's all dry. Okay, so we got it all dried up. It's the next day. Not going to waste any time here. You already saw me drill the holes. So I'm going to stick a washer through there, bolt through. This is all very fascinating, I'm sure. Now, the only thing you really need to know about this is you can either use wing nuts here, lock nuts, or what have you. I am just going to snug this up a bit so it's a little bit on the stiff side. That's good. So I just put the second nut on there, crank them together. That's going to make it so when you move this, if these turn, this turns with it, they're not going to come loose. That basically takes the place of a lock nut. So I'm going to do it again. You don't need to see that. Okay, so this is why we want the legs nice and tight on there, because then it's not easy to move them, set them down. Okay, let's take off our paper and tape. Okay, there's one thing that I forgot to mention, I think, when I was putting the layout on the tape, is that I measured down 25 inches to this point, because we have the measurement for that point there. But obviously you're going to customize this to what you want and then just duplicate it on the other one. All right, so here we're going to try to demonstrate these cornhole boards out in this quite windy day so we can get the video out. We don't want to wait for the wind to go down. And I guess we means that the guy behind the camera is now going to have to come in front of the camera. So here he is, Jonathan.
Hi, I'm Jonathan, Greg's son. I do all the camera work and editing.
And is about to lose at cornhole.
Ow. Oh, nice one.
Oh,
That almost was a tie or even a win for me.
no! All right, not a game for windy weather. But as you can see, they're probably a lot more solid than what you're going to get on Amazon or at Walmart, and much cheaper. Now keep in mind, I only weigh like 135 pounds. A heavier guy could jump on this, no problem.
If you like this video, then hit the like button, leave us a comment, hit that subscribe button, and there's another video somewhere on the screen right now. Go click that and watch it if you like more content like this. Thanks. Bye.